Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to another Beach Boys album ranking video. Today we're up to number 9 out of 30, so we're really getting into there. We're almost done. But anyway, last video we checked on number 10, Wild Honey, released in 1967. And that record is fucking amazing. I really love doing that review. It was a shorter one. Even though I did have a lot of things to say about the record, but it's just such a cohesive and musically realized album that, it's such a short record and, it just, I got everything I needed to say, and it's just such a great record, and it marked a period in time where the band really didn't care about commercial success or pleasing the record label. They just wanted to write something they enjoyed, and they did. And the R&B sound that the record has was completely unique within their discography, and nowadays fans look back on it as one of their best records, and I completely agree. Amazing one. But today we're jumping up basically 10 years from that record and going to a time in the Beach Boys' history where it was falling the fuck apart. So as you can see from the title, from the album cover that I'm holding in the thumbnail, this is not an album that ever released. And you're probably thinking to yourself, dude, if you're doing a Beach Boys album ranking of all their records, wouldn't you want to have albums that came out and were actually released? And you would think so, but this one's really important to their discography, and it is the weirdest fucking album I have ever listened to, and it's probably the weirdest album in their entire catalog. Even more than Smile. Smile's a weird fucking record, but the one we're talking about today is just something else. So without any further ado, I'm about to show off this record real quick, just because, man, this is a rare one. So today, number 9 out of 30, the album we're talking about, unreleased, never went released, but it's only available in bootlegs, is Adult Child. Now, yeah, you're probably looking at this. If you're a Beach Boys fan, you see this, you know how rare this one is. I don't know how the fuck I got my hands on this thing, but I did, and this is my most prized record in my collection, besides my Smile Sessions box set. But, for this review, I'm keeping it in the sleeve because I don't get my fingers all over this fucking cover. Anyway, yeah, so for those of you who know, you know this record. For those of you who don't know, I'm gonna have to do a lot of explaining. So basically, let's go back to 1974. So the Beach Boys put out a greatest hits album called Endless Summer. It went to number 1, and after the records Holland, Carl and the Passion, Surf's Up, Sunflower, all those amazing fucking records they put out, Endless Summer changed everything because they hadn't seen a number 1 album. Well, number 1, they hadn't seen a number 1 album in 10 years, but they just hadn't seen commercial success like that in a long time as well. So Capitol Records is like, holy shit, guys. Well, just the general public too. It was released on Capitol, but Warner Brothers, the record label they were on at the time, was like, holy shit, guys, like, damn, people are really into you now. So it basically pressured Brian back into the band to be their leader and producer, and he would tour with them in the coming years, off and on, but really in like 75, 76, he would be with the band a lot for the tours. And because of Endless Summer, it changed the game, and they put out an album called 15 Big Ones that I talked about quite a while ago. But that wasn't a bad record at all. It's a very solid record for what it was, but very scattershot. It was about half originals, half old covers. And though it wasn't the strongest record, one thing that was very unique about it was that it was the first Brian Wilson led and produced record since about Friends, I think. And it was just a new time for the band. It was a new era for them, a completely new era. Cat. Anyway, yeah. So 15 Big Ones came out, new era for the band, and it did a lot better than the previous records they had put out. Went to number 8, and then they had a Rock and Roll Music, the single, go to number 5. So, they were gaining some commercial popularity. But being that Brian was now the leader again and at the front of the band, they're like, you know what? Back in the day, Brian, you were the guy who wrote all of our stuff. You were the guy who made us popular. How about we give you the creative rights to do whatever you want? So in 1975 throughout, 1976, early 77, Brian wrote a bunch of songs, went in the studio as the producer for the first time in a long fucking time, and he wrote one of the greatest albums of his career and one of the greatest albums of the Beach Boys' entire discography, The Beach Boys Love You. That was released mid-77, I'm pretty sure, pretty early 77 actually. The anniversary passed like a couple weeks ago. But that record came out to complete confusion and mixed reviews, but also a certain aura and vibe that people really appreciated about it. And man, to me, that is such a weird record and such a different one. One of my favorite ones that I'll get to in a bit. This record right here and Beach Boys Love You are basically companion records. 15 Big Ones as well, but Love You and Adult Child really are the 2 companion records. Anyway, though it came out and a lot of people really liked it for what it was, there's a lot of people that did not understand it at all, and that kind of reflected in the commercial sales. It went to like number 54 or something, so much worse than 15 Big Ones. And really, it was a disappointment for the record label because you're like, oh damn, Brian, you're back now, but your new album didn't do that well. So they gave him another chance, really, and basically around that same time, during the recording sessions for Love You, and then right after, Brian started writing more stuff, and basically what happened was, from that new stuff that Brian had written after Love You, they had actually taken some older sessions from like 75, 76, from like 15 Big Ones era, and then they took some songs from the old, like 69, 70, from like the Sunflower sessions, and they basically put it together into one crazy ass fucking record called Adult Child that was planned to release in late 77, but Mike and Al just really didn't like it, and they're like, this is not commercial, and we're the guys who actually have to go out on stage and play this kind of stuff, and we just can't do this. It's too weird. So a combination of the band not liking it, Carl and Dennis really liked it, as they did for most of Brian's stuff because they're brothers, but Mike and Al especially didn't like it, and then I'm pretty sure Warner Brothers at the time was like, this is too weird. So it's kind of a Smile situation that it got shelved, and to this day, this is actually, compared to Smile, this one has never seen the light of day. But also compared to Smile, this one actually was finished. This one was a completely finished record that was planned to get released, but it just never did. So very interesting. And actually, this is also another point I have to make. So we have Pet Sounds in 66, right? Everybody loves Pet Sounds. Was supposed to be followed up by Smile. Smile never came out. 1977, Beach Boys Love You came out. Beach Boys fans love that record. It's seen as one of the greatest. Was supposed to be followed up by Adult Child. Never came out. 1988, Brian Wilson releases his first solo record, just his self-titled Brian Wilson record. People love it. It's a great fucking record. It was a comeback for him. 1989 was planned to be followed up by an album called Sweet Insanity. Never came out. So really fucking weird coincidence. 66, 77, 88, all followed up by an unreleased studio album. So very weird. And they're all Brian Wilson solo records at heart. This one is basically a Brian solo record. So yeah, and by the way, let me just talk about this pressing. So, as I said, this album has never been officially released anywhere, besides from a couple of the songs on here. Some just recently released on Feel Flows, some that have been released on other box sets and stuff like that. Yeah, so this album in full has never been released completely, but as I said, it's only available in bootlegs, and this one is the Holy Grail right here. Released in 85, I'm pretty sure Brother Records put this one out as a bootleg, an unofficial, official kind of bootleg thing. And this is where the iconic album cover comes from. I don't even know if this was planned for the album in 77, but it's just such a striking image. It's Brian in the fireman's hat from the Smile sessions recording Fire from 67 or 66. I think it was 66, 67. But just an odd fucking picture on the light baby green black background with a pink logo with the cursive and then the children's writing. The back, Brian's back with his actual back. Fucking weird. And then the liner's notes are written by Landy, Eugene Landy. If you guys know him, yeah, what a fucking weird ass record. So yeah, this one, this is a very rare record. I don't know how I got my hands on this one. Very happy to have. But anyway, so wow. So as I said, this review, man, there's so many things I have to say about this one. Even the cat's just sitting here admiring it. Adult Child is one of the weirdest records you will ever hear in your life. And as I said, it's probably one of the weirdest records I've ever heard. And it is a mixture of a lot of things. It is a mixture of Frank Sinatra big band inspired sounds. It is a mixture of weird ass Brian's losing his fucking mind kind of things. And it's also a mixture of old songs that we never released that we're going to put on this record. So there's so many things to say about it. So I guess without any further ado, I just get into the track list. So this album opens up with an unreleased. This is actually one of the couple of unreleased songs in here that has never been released. There's quite a few songs in here that have been released in recent years, but the first song, called "Life Is for the Living," is never been released on anything ever, and is only available in bootleg form in pretty low sound quality. But wow, what a fucking amazing opener! Oh my fucking god! And it's really hard to explain because you have a band like the Beach Boys who's known for songs like Surfin' USA and Wouldn't It Be Nice and I Get Around, and then you hear Life Is for the Living, a fucking swing big band, Frank Sinatra, you know, that kind of 40s, 50s kind of shit. Like, what the fuck? This is the Beach Boys. Brian's cigarette ruined voice. You know, life is full. Well, it's actually Carl, but Brian sings on it too. But you know, mainly Carl. I'm pretty sure. You know, maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe it's actually all Carl. You know, it's been a while. As I've said in previous reviews, when I think about these songs during the review, it's kind of hard for me to remember who sings it. But yeah, so it's Carl. Brian actually sings the bridge, so I actually wasn't wrong. So Carl sings the verses and the choruses. Brian sings the bridge kind of thing. But what a fucking opener. The drums, I don't even know who plays them, but they're so energetic. They sound so good and crisp. And, you know, Carl's vocal is like, it sounds like nothing else you've ever heard by the Beach Boys, but what a fucking great song, energetic opener. Barely anybody knows of it because, as I said, it was never released. This album was never released, and it still hasn't been. So I'm hoping that in like 2027, when, you know, the 50th anniversary of the original release was supposed to happen, I hope they release it at some point, but who knows. Anyway, opens up with this cool ass fucking song, Life's for the Living. You know, get off your ass, stop smoking grass, you know, you gotta live your life. Crazy fucking song. It's the Beach Boys, but you would never know it is. And it's followed up by probably the weirdest, creepiest, most vile song the Beach Boys ever did. I talked about this one in the MIU review. I'll kind of get that in a little bit, but anyway, you know, as you know, Adult Child wasn't released. They cobbled together some songs, released MIU. The only Adult Child song that appeared on MIU was the second song on the original album and the third song on MIU called Hey Little Tomboy. And I already talked about this song, but it really needs more words than... you really can't even explain it. So again, Brian wrote this one by himself, and it is one of the creepiest, most uncomfortable things you'll ever listen to. And specifically on the Adult Child version, it's a different version of the song. On MIU, they re-recorded it, sounds cleaner, and then they removed this whole one part of the song. But on the original version, which still has never been released with, you know, the original weird bridge part, this is one of the creepiest fucking songs you'll ever hear. It's basically a bunch of 30 or 35-year-old men saying, "Hey, it's a little teenage girl going through puberty, little tomboy." Like, what the fuck were they thinking? Holy shit. And on this version, there's a whole bridge chant in the end where they're saying, "Oh, come over here, shave your legs for the very first..." I'm not making this shit up. I'm not. Go listen to this album. I have a playlist on my YouTube channel. Go in my playlist on my channel. Find it. Listen to the second song. It is the Adult Child version of it. And, I mean, melodically, the song's good. I do like the song melodically. I think it's a catchy song, but man, it's almost completely invalidated by the lyrics just because they're so fucking weird. But at the same time, this whole album's fucking weird because none of this album makes any sense at all. But at the same time, that's kind of why I love it so much. So I really can't say much more about Hey Little Tomboy, and I really don't want to because, you know, I don't want to be a defender of the song at all because I'm not. It's fucking weird. Brian was fucking out of his mind. There's an interview from '76 where he talks about it, how he loves the song. Oh, it's a great song. I mean, melodically it's cool, but oh man. Yeah, so that happened. So we have Life's for the Living, fucking Frank Sinatra, big band ass, get off your ass, stop smoking grass kind of shit. Hey Little Tomboy, followed up by an old ass cover of a song called Deep Purple, sang by Brian with his gruff ass, ruined voice. As I said, he fucked up his voice with drugs and shit. And what a fucking beautiful song. It's completely, again, does not sound like the Beach Boys. Brian's voice is so pitchy, off-key at times, so raw in a demo feel, but oh man, it's so good. It's so good. This one has never been released either. You know, the first three, if we include the Adult Child version of Hey Little Tomboy, have never been officially released. And Deep Purple, it's such a lonely song. For some reason, I just get like lonely vibes from it. It's just so otherworldly and ethereal, and it's like coming after the first two, it's like holy shit. And you know, one thing I'll give to this record why I love it so much is that every song is entertaining as fuck, whether it be weird or creepy or mysterious or just straight up beautiful. Every song is not boring. Maybe besides one, which I'll get to, but it's still a good song. But yeah, it's just such a fucking entertaining, weird ass record, and Deep Purple is just unlike anything else. Song number 4 comes from the Sunflower Sessions, written and recorded all the way back in 1969. Was planned for the album Landlocked, but as you guys may or may not know, that was another album that was shelved And then Surf's Up was eventually released. But yeah, they had an album called Landlocked, and there's a song on it, which is track 4 on this album, called Help Is On The Way. What the fuck? Okay, so Help Is On The Way. So you see this title, and you're like, what is this song about? This song is about being obese and eating junk food and being saved and getting help because you're gonna fucking have a heart attack and die because you eat too much junk food. The Beach Boys, guys, obviously, this is what they're known for, just eating a bunch of fucking fat and junk food. Yeah. It's a cool song, and melodically, it's really good. I like the part where Carl says at the end, come into the Radiant Radish, because that's the health store that Brian used to work at. That's what Vegetables, the song, was about. I'm in great shape. He was all into, like, health, but himself wasn't healthy. I don't know, but Help Is On The Way. Fucking weird-ass song. Followed up by, now here we go. So we get these 4 cool-ass but weird-ass fucking songs opening up the album. Track number 5 is an absolutely beautiful, beautiful fucking ballad sang by Carl and Brian and his wife, Marilyn. So this is called It's Over Now. And this one actually has been officially released on the Made in California box set. This is probably my second favorite song on the record, besides the last one, which I'll get to when we get there. But, It's Over Now. So this is a completely gorgeous ballad. Starts with this really cool, like chorus flanger kind of effect. And then Carl starts singing the vocal, and actually from what I've heard, it was actually a single take. He was drunk and he just went in the studio and recorded the vocals in one take. It's fucking awesome. Brian sings some lines with his coarse ass rough voice, and then the bridge is sang by his wife Marilyn, which she actually sang on the Beach Boys' Love You Too, but she sings on this track. Absolutely beautiful. They tribute Frank Sinatra in like the last verse, and it's very Frank Sinatra, that kind of sound. And yeah, just listen to it. It's one of the best songs on the record, and it's just it's funny because you have songs on this album like Hey Little Tomboy, which are among the worst Beach Boys songs. I mean, like melodically, it's not that bad, but it's just fucking terrible lyrically. But then you have a song like It's Over Now, which is like up there with Pet Sounds. So it's like, what the fuck is this album? I kind of understand why it wasn't released, because it's too fucking weird, but I wish it was, because this is like the weirdest shit I've ever heard. Anyway, It's Over Now, yeah. And then the last song on side 1, Everybody Wants to Live. So this one's cool. This one has never been officially released either. The production on it is very rough because it's just been bootlegs and acetates that have been passed down over the years. But Carl sings this one. The first line is, a cigarette butt when you throw it in the water goes psh. Brian, man, he was fucked up. He was on something else at the time, man. Yeah, so it's a cool fucking song. I mean, Everybody Wants to Live. It has a big ass, what's it called, like big baseball organ, sorta. I'm kind of forgetting what the instrument is. I think it's like a big organ thing. But cool song. I mean, it's a good ending to side 1. And on this specific copy, there's some bonus tracks. So I'll just quickly go over them. So on this copy, we get 3 more tracks ending off side 1. We get a cover of Moni Moni, which most people know the Billy Idol version. It's a song that goes back to like the late 50s, early 60s, I'm pretty sure. But Billy Idol covered it, so they did their own version. Which I think like later 70s, like 79 maybe when they did it. Good track. Ruby Baby, Lieber Stoller wrote it. I don't know who originally recorded it. I don't even remember what it sounds like, to be honest with you. The only time I've ever heard it is like when I listened to this record like 2 or 3 times, so I can't even remember. And then the last track on side 1 on this specific record is Be My Baby, Brian's favorite song of all time by the Ronettes. I'm pretty sure this is the version that Mike did for So Mike did a version of his first solo album, but then Brian and Mike kind of did a collaborative version like the late 70s. So obviously nowhere near the original. The original is one of the greatest songs of all time. This was a cool rendition, except Mike's vocal doesn't really work as well. But, I mean, still good. But I will add, though, that Moni Moni, Ruby Baby, and Be My Baby are not part of Adult Child and were never intended to be on the album. They're just bonus tracks that were recorded around the same time, so they just put them on this bootleg. So just don't regard those as part of the album. Everything from Life's for the Living to Everybody Wants to Live is like the actual side 1. And then side 2 on this record opens up with a cover of You've Lost That Love and Fillin' from the Righteous Brothers. Again, one of the greatest songs ever recorded, but not part of Adult Child. It was never intended for Adult Child. It's just a cover that they recorded around the same time. Good cover. But then we get to the actual opener of side 2 on the actual record, Shorten and Bread. So what the fuck, Brian? It's kind of just what I have to say. I mean, I love you. Like, look at my shirt, look at the record. I mean, you know, but he had some crazy ass obsession with this song at the time. There's a story of him at a party just playing the song for hours without stopping. You know, Mama's Little Baby Loves Shortening Bread. So yeah, so it was initially recorded and planned for this record, but they never did it. And then they eventually re-recorded it with Dennis on, well, Carl on lead vocals, and then Dennis does the background vocals on the LA version, on the Light album. But Brian's not on it, which is really fucking weird because it was Brian's song. And it's a completely different backing track kind of recording. But on Adult Child, this is the real deal. So this is the Shortening Bread that Beach Boys fans know and love. So it's Brian on the Mama's Little Baby Love Shortening. Brian sings that. Carl sings the lead. And then it's like fucking synthy, loud, just the same thing for like 3 minutes. How long is it? Yeah, 3 minutes. Mama's Little Baby Love Shortening Bread. Carl's amazing ass fucking vocals on the verses. And then Brian is fucking going along at the piano in his fucking Mama's Little Baby Love Shortening Bread. One of the weirdest songs the Beach Boys ever did. They didn't write it. It was a traditional song, but they made it their own, and I love it. It's really cool. I really love it. It's so catchy and undeniably fun. And, you know, at this point, if this was, you know, if Shortening Bread was, you know, Shortening Bread on an album like LA is like, that's fucking weird. Because that album, you know, while there is some weird stuff on there, you know, like the Here Comes the Night in LA, the rest of it's conventional. This album is already so fucking weird that it doesn't even like seem weird. It's like, oh yeah, there's Shortening Bread after, you know, a song about cigarettes in the water and junk food and little tomboys. You know, it's fucking weird. Followed up by a really short, beautiful song written by Brian called Lines, sang by Brian and Carl. Really short, less than 2 minutes, but I really love this one. It's really pretty. Brian's voice is great. This is probably the most unknown song on the record just because it's, you know, Lines. But I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on this, but I think it's about drugs. I'm pretty sure it's about drugs in some way, shape, or form. But I really like it. It's very underrated. Just listen to it. Again, this one has never been officially released. Same with the Adult Child version of Shortening Bread. The LA version has, but the Adult Child version hasn't. And Lines hasn't either. But really great song. I really love that one. Followed up by probably my least favorite on the album melodically. Hey Little Tomboy is worse from an objective standpoint, but I actually do like the melody of that one more. This is a cover of another Lieber Stoller track recorded by Drifters or somebody, called On Broadway. Al sings this one, so it's Al's vocal on the record. And this is cool. It got that horn vibe, you know, it's got, you know, the string kind of thing going on, so not really Frank Sinatra, but like more big band, old sounding. This is a very big bandy, old sounding song. It's a good song, it's a catchy track. Al does a good job on it, but it's nothing crazy. Probably my least favorite on the record. Leads into a song that dates back all the way back to 1969, 1970. So back to the Sunflower Surf's Up sessions, called Games Two Can Play. Written by Brian, but it was a response to another song from that same period. So again, this one was never officially released on an album at the time it was initially recorded back in the late 60s, early 70s. And they're gonna put it on this record, but then this record never came out. So the song was actually just released on Feel Flows. Same with Help Is on the Way. I think Help Is on the Way was actually released on the 1993 Good Vibrations box set, but Games 2 Could Play was actually just released on Feel Flows last year. So anyway, it was the next song on this record, well, what was supposed to be this record, and man, what a great fucking song. You know, you have, what a contrast. You know, you hear Brian's voice on the new songs on this record, well, the new songs at the time when this album was supposed to be released. Brian's cigarette, drug voice all fucked up, but on Games 2 Can Play, his voice is pure and beautiful and clear because it's, you know, late 60s, early 70s, so his voice was still fine. And this one's fucking awesome, dude. It's so short, but it's so fun and catchy, and I love every second of it. And the whole, like, that's the time when I'm the Mr. Businessman, like the whole weird bridge part, it's so fun and childish, and it's like Brian's a little kid. This part, Brian's voice, you know, he sounds like a little kid, but you know, it's a fun fucking catchy song. I love it. It's one of my more cherished songs on the record. Really cool. Followed up by a song that was actually recorded for this record, sang by Dennis. So Dennis is only lead on this record, called Baseball, in quotes, it's trying to say. And yeah, so Brian wrote this one, and can you guess what it's about? about baseball. It's about going to the fucking, baseball stadium and hitting a home run. And yeah, Dennis does vocals on it. His voice was even more fucked up than Brian's, and this was like already approaching the late 70s. So by that point, his voice was just fucked. Sorry for the clock, by the way. Yeah, so his voice was just, oh my god. But the song itself is great. I'll let you listen for a little bit after this clock starts going off, or stops going off. In 1 second. I don't know, man. It's crazy. Like, you go from a song from like 1969 about games who can play to fucking baseball with Dennis singing his gruff ass voice. But it's a great song, and I really love it. And it leads into the last track on the album, on the actual album, not on this record, but on the actual Adult Child that was planned to be released in 1977. The last track is a track written entirely by Brian Wilson called Still I Dream of It, and in my opinion is one of his best tracks he ever wrote. His, one of the most serious songs on the record, and my favorite on the album by a long shot. This is one of the most Frank Sinatra-y sounding on the record, very Frank Sinatra. This is like where he gets the influence from. And wow, it's, his voice is so gruff, but it's all Brian. There's no harmonies on it, I'm pretty sure, and it's so personal. It's just like, Still I Dream of It, one of the lyrics is like, why hasn't Jesus helped me find a girl or something, and it's like, it's really fucking jarring, because you go from a song, baseball's on, you go from a song saying baseball's on to one of the most deep and personal songs that Brian ever wrote in his entire career, and it's absolutely fucking heartbreaking and beautiful. And there's a demo around the same time that a lot of people like even more, because it's just solo piano and Brian. I personally like the album version more. I like, the whole flanger effect that they use. They use it on Deep Purple, It's Over Now, and Still I Dream of It. So like the same kind of thing, but man, I fucking love it. And with that ends off the actual album. The final track on this LP is a cover of Neil Sodaka's Calendar Girl. That was like a 1961 track, 1960. They covered it, never been released. Still a Dream of It actually has been released on the 1993 Good Vibrations box set. Calendar Girl, their cover, never has. Wasn't on the album, but it's a cool relic from the time. I like it, it's cool, but I don't really have to count it. So the actual main album of Adult Child that was planned to be released is Life is for the Living, Hey Little Tomboy, Deep Purple, Help Is on the Way, It's Over Now, Everybody Wants to Live, Shortened and Bread, Lines, On Broadway, Games Two Can Play, It's Trying to Say, and Still I Dream of It. Mouthful, but that's about it. It's about 30 minutes, so it's really not even that long. But, wow. So, after hearing all of that, I mean, you might have not even heard of this record, and if you have, you're probably like, you may either disagree with me and say it's too weird, or you may agree with me and say, yeah, it's one of the best ones. And for me, what a fucking experience. For, is it as cohesive as pretty much any of the other albums in the top 10? No, not at all. But you know what? Did they make anything else that sounds like this? No. And from a musical viewpoint, this one is actually more out there than The Beach Boys Love You. The Beach Boys Love You is already one of the weirdest fucking records I've ever heard, and this one takes it to another level. And one thing to note is that, yes, like 15 Big Ones and Beach Boys Love You, this was pretty much just a Brian Wilson solo record. Besides the covers, it was Brian just writing whatever the fuck he wanted to. And I get why it didn't come out at the time, because it is so fucking weird. Beach Boys Love You was already like, whoa, this is a little weird, Brian. Singing about airplanes and picking up babies and fucking roller skating child, and that's already a weird record. But this one is just like, stop smoking weed, go live your life. Fucking Little Tomboys, Deep Purple, eating junk food, like your life is over, everything's over now. You get a deep ass song like that, and then you get like fucking throwing a cigarette in the water. Just Shortened and Bread, On Broadway, baseball, like it's crazy. So yeah, so basically that's Adult Child, and what can I say about it? I love it. It is one of my personal favorite Beach Boys records for a lot of reasons. It's the most unique, weird, and just out there Beach Boys record you'll ever hear. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it, but there's something called outsider art, like outsider music. If you've ever heard the Shag's Philosophy of the World, basically just music that was written by people that really never intended for their music to be heard by the general public. And it's just weird ass fucking music. And honestly, you think of the Beach Boys and you're like, dude, Pet Sounds, Smile, you get all these fucking songs, some of the most cherished and popular songs in music history. How can it be outsider art? Just listen to this record. If you've never heard it, if this is your first time ever hearing about Adult Child, go on my channel, go on the playlist, Beach Boys Adult Child, and listen to it. I guarantee you, even if you don't like it, you'll at least be entertained because it's one of the weirdest fucking albums you'll ever hear. So, you go from big band, Frank Sinatra, 50s kind of horn stuff, then you get, beautiful ballads, then you get, outtakes from the late 60s, early 70s, and then you get fucking Shortening Bread on Broadway, Deep Purple, like traditional song covers. And then like, Hey Little Tomboy, Life is for the Living. It's fucking crazy. So, for me, the strengths of this album is just what it is. It's just, it doesn't hide anything. It's completely weird and unusual, but that's what makes it so good because it is weird and unusual, and there's nothing else like it. And just track to track, I think my favorite, if I just rank the tracks on it, like top 5, Still I Dream of It, It's Over Now, some of the greatest songs Brian ever wrote, those two, I would put in Brian's top 25 songs ever. Like, I'm not even joking, they're that fucking good. Go listen to them. And, it's kind of weird that they're on an album like this because then you have songs about baseball and shit, but, following those two, I'd say Life is for the Living is absolutely awesome. Fucking love that song. Deep Purple, though it's a cover, it's still a beautiful fucking track. Games 2 Can Play is super cool. Shortening Bread, though it's a weird ass fucking traditional song kind of thing. It's unique. It's definitely unique. It's like the ding dang of this record. If you haven't heard Ding Dang, go listen to Ding Dang. This album's a meme. The album cover's a meme. It's the Holy Grail. It's like, man, it's Smile 10 years after Smile. It was this Smile of Beach Boys Love You, but it's Adult Child. This review is all over the place just because I'm trying to find words to describe this record, but basically what I can say is that, yes, it never came out, and yes, for probably good reason, because it's too fucking weird, but is this better than what we got with MIU? A million fucking times yes. MIU, while it's a decent, solid record, it plays it so fucking safe, like you couldn't even imagine it, and comparing MIU to this is like comparing, like, fucking $1 store brand cereal to, like, Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I don't even know if it's a good comparison, but, like, this album is just so much more unique, and I really wish it was released at the time. And I'll cover it now just because I know that if I don't get to it now, I'll never get to it. There was another unreleased planned Beach Boys record. It was called Merry Christmas with the Beach Boys. That was going to be released at the end of '77 too, along with this record. It was, it was going to be their second Christmas album, but it never was released. So that's pretty much all I can say about that one. There's bootlegs of that one, but I don't own any, and I don't plan on owning any just because I don't really care. I'll listen to it at some point. I haven't really listened to it yet. I just know the backstory. Anyway, going off on a tangent here, but basically, yeah, so number 9 out of 30 is an album that never came out, that doesn't even exist in official form, but at the same time showcases Brian Wilson's mind in a way that not even Pet Sounds or Smile does. This shows a man who didn't even know how to live. He didn't even know how to write normal music anymore. To him, this, even if you're not a fan of it, just listen to this and you'll see what I mean, because I need to stop saying, I'm sorry. Going back to a time period in the late 70s, Brian was just fucked up. I mean, he had come out of one of the worst periods of his life. It wouldn't even be the worst period of life. That would be yet to come in the 80s, which is really sad. But, coming out of his reclusive period to front the Beach Boys again, he didn't know how to live normally. He didn't know what normal songwriting was anymore. He was just writing what he thought was cool. So, for me, the reason why Adult Child is at number 9 and one of my favorite Beach Boys records is because it's one of the most unique, original, and just unlike anything else you will ever hear albums ever. It's just so fucking weird and unique and cool. And really, I don't even know if I could say that much more about it. I mean, all of, Brian's vocals on this are great, even though they're super gruff. Dennis's one lead is great, even though it's super gruff. Al's lead on Broadway is good, even though it's probably my least favorite song. Mike, do you know what? Mike doesn't really have that many vocals on here. Hey Little Tomboy, Help Is On The Way, and that's really about it. That's all we get from Mike. So that's kind of cool to, it's kind of cool for a change to not get that much Mike. Carl's vocals on here are great as always. Bruce wasn't in the band at this point, so it's just the five guys. The five guys. So yeah, so that's pretty much what I have to say about this one. I love my copy of this. I will cherish this copy forever. Yeah, so if you guys have not heard Adult Child, please go listen to it. It is one of the weirdest things you'll ever listen to. If you have heard it and you're a Beach Boys fan and you already know and love it, or maybe if you don't even love it, just if you've heard it, just let me know what you think about it in the comments, because it's just unlike anything else the Beach Boys ever did. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that's everything I have to say about this one. So what would I give this one out of 10? It's really hard to say. It is really hard to say because there's stuff on this album that's like 11 out of 10. There's stuff on this album that's like a 4 out of 10. So in terms of objective ranking, or in terms of objectiveness on a scale out of 10, I'd probably have to give it like an 8 or something, just because it's so diverse and varied in terms of the sound and like the quality of the songs. But as a whole record and the vibe they went for, that's the reason why it's so high. Not the fucking scale out of 1 to 10, just because of what it is. It's an entity that it's making me say words that I don't even fucking know what to say about them. I don't even know what to say. Just listen to it. So yeah, for me, Adult Child, number 9 out of 30. Never released, so there's not even any release dates. There's no singles. The album was never released, but there's bootlegs. So that's basically what I have to say about it. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think about Adult Child in the comments below, because it is just a weird ass record, but you know what? It's a cool record and it's unlike anything else. So yeah, so thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think about Adult Child in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next album review. Peace out.